Hello, and welcome back to the Pretty Passionate Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Ruth, and we are jumping back in the discussion. I'm trying to work with my new format here where we kind of partition the podcast episodes by general topic. And there's a few shows that I'm interested in talking to you about, namely the Summer House Reunion Part 3. So let's get into it. From the top, Summer House Part 3 reunion. Oh my gosh. First thought, they still don't get it. That's it. That's the summary of the whole thing. Part 2 ended with Amanda, well, she was still upset, but the whole gang went on a break, okay? And so they were enjoying some time in their dressing rooms. They come back. We saw the end of that, which was the end of last episode, was Kyle and Sierra speaking to Miha on the phone on FaceTime, and Amanda kind of saying to West, and by the way, she was looking for reassurance from him. Oh gosh, they're treating me like I'm so dumb for trusting you. And that was her insecure girl way of asking for him to say and reassure her, like, no, but you can trust me, babe, because I'm not what they're saying. Except, did he do that? No, absolutely not. And so everyone's coming back to the stage. Amanda sits down with Bailey because they were on opposite sides of the couch. Bailey summons her over. If Bailey wants to be nice to her, that's fine. I don't think the whole world has to be mean to her, but I do think she has to be held accountable for her actions. Fair. So Bailey calls her over, and Amanda says what I believe is like her only concern at what she said in the room with West, and that is that everyone keeps telling her she is throwing away friendships for a guy who's just not going to take her seriously, who's going to dump her soon, who's going to get bored with her, getting get bored with the negative attention, and probably not realize what he had hoped to from this relationship and therefore move on. Everybody's kind of seeing through West's greater plan with Amanda as it pertains to this whole thing. Kyle in the last episode, they didn't get into detail, but he alluded to the idea that West kind of had a predetermined plan to get with Amanda at the end of the season, calculating that she would be like the next it girl in the like Bravo sphere because of the horrors that everyone had experienced with her marriage, and what was happening is that marriage was falling apart, that she would I guess leave Kyle, and he wanted to play that knight in shining armor. You saw he already started to do that at the end of the season, that he was going to swoop in and take over and comfort Amanda, and it was going to go so great, and I guess that all of us would embrace it. But what I guess he didn't anticipate was, one, that people would find this gross in general, and two, that people would have any sort of loyalty or concern for Sierra in this situation. Yeah, it's weird. It was a big miscalculation if that's what he did, and that's something Kyle suggested. But anyway, one thing that was clear with that brief conversation Bailey had with Amanda is that Amanda understands that West continuing in his usual manner, he's not changing anything about her. And it makes her look like the biggest fool in the world. I mean, they revealed right there on stage that so many reasons why he's untrustworthy, so many ways they tried to unpack the timeline and refocus everything for her, including his timeline of relationship with Meha, his timeline of relationship with Sierra, and she's sitting there just like learning all this new information, and it's not sinking in yet. Other than that, she just overall doesn't understand why the group is upset with her. They all feel that the point where West and Amanda began to develop feelings strong enough that they were acting on them, and that they felt the need to come forward and admit anything, the friend group is saying unequivocally that is the point where the friend group should have mattered more to the both of them, and they should have retreated from those feelings. That is the point the friend group is making, that Amanda is definitely not understanding. They chose to blow up the friend group for what everyone knows in their gut and everyone believes and everyone is telling her will amount to a fling, a short-lived relationship, a thing that's going to be over soon. So when they get into the Miha timeline of it all, Amanda is like, you see her face, she's learning this stuff in real time. He's backtracking, and initially he said that wasn't his girlfriend, but by the end of it, he actually has to admit that yes, Miha thought she was in an exclusive relationship with him, and he was lying to her, basically. He has to come out of his bearded face and say that. And this went on until April. And when they showed a picture of West with Miha and everything, and they dated that picture, it's like April 14th or April 19th, some ridiculously late time frame. Amanda's face, just, you could see the change where she was just making all these calculations like, oh my God, this is all happening in real time. This is all making me look really dumb. So, and let's not forget also, very importantly, that destroying this friend group and making it impossible for these people to reconvene next summer, to continue to film whatever together, is hitting them in the pockets. This is a financial decision that West and Amanda made that was extremely inconsiderate to their castmates. Even if you want to make the argument that West has a separate group of friends that are his best friends, his lifelong buddies from Missouri or wherever he's from, Missouri, I think, yeah. That this is your job, bro. This is your job, and this is all of these people's job. And you just messed with their good paper by destroying the group and making it impossible for anyone right now to predict how the group might move forward, if they move forward at all. So there's that. And they flush it all down the toilet again for what the friend group perceives will be at best a fling. Okay. So she's sitting there figuring that out. You can just see her wheels turning, her overlap with Miha. She already realized her overlap with Sierra in real time. Her confidence, all that sass she came on stage with, you will notice in part 3, nowhere in the room. Nowhere in the room. She's not like remorseful and suddenly regretting her decisions, but all that pushback she was giving when she first sat down, it's gone. So, and Kyle, interestingly, Kyle knows her best. He knows her better than everyone in the room. And he's looking at her and he's realizing that she's realizing all of this. And he is like, you could see, getting very emotional, expressing his concern for her that West is not the real deal and that West had illegitimate, nefarious intentions when he plotted to get with Amanda. And it might be hard for some to understand, like, why Kyle keeps caping for her. Why does he care about her? I mean, they were together 10 years, married for 4, and she's a little younger than him. So there's also that where he's probably always been a bit of her caretaker. He said she's kind of lazy. So I guess he's always had to look out for her in life. And I do get the sense that Kyle blames West more than he blames Amanda. I think he looks at Amanda as a bit of a vulnerable person who was taken advantage of. Like, she made a bad choice at the time because she was in a situation where her judgment was poor. And you can see Kyle wear some of the blame for that she was even in that position. And it's clear that his most important sense of betrayal is from West. I don't think he's super mad at Amanda for getting with West. I think he's more mad at West for getting with Amanda, which I guess makes sense when you look at it from his perspective, that Amanda was vulnerable, that she's fragile and all this. Now, I roll my eyes a lot when Kyle brings up Amanda's fragility because I'm so tired of the fragility of a certain type of person always coming to their rescue when they make poor decisions. And I guess being in a group of people myself, that fragility is not, it's not a weapon I can deploy. I can't make mistakes and then lean on my fragility to get out of trouble. I think I just kind of just get emotionally exhausted talking about a woman's fragility when she's made poor decisions. But, Kyle is standing strong in his support for her, and I respect that. He's very much of the opinion that West took advantage of her. Can't take that away from him. Side note, I also think Andy is doing a bang up job, especially in this third part, hosting the reunion. Usually, I can say that I walk away from reunions a little dissatisfied, they leave me wanting in terms of resolution of big topics. For example, I thought the Beverly Hills reunion the season was not great either, but the reunion left me with little to no resolution. I didn't feel like we got into some of the discussions I really wanted to get into. I feel like we skirted over a lot of stuff that would have maybe moved the story forward. But in this, he's not letting the conversation get carried away with rebukes and snide comments. He's controlling the room and he's bringing it back to the important questions. He's not just getting hung up on whatever they want to talk about. I like that he actually sequestered time to address Sierra and give her the floor to talk uninterrupted about how she felt about the betrayal between she and Amanda specifically, because the betrayal from West, a lot of people will argue online, and I do understand their perspective, although I don't agree. They'll say he didn't owe her anything, they weren't dating anymore, and whatever. I think because he was so murky and unclear and very shades of gray about their relationship, I think he owes her more than she got. And that's that. And I think he was deceptive and he knew deep down that he was doing something wrong to her by getting with Amanda. But Andy is being really fair to Amanda. He's giving her the floor. He's letting her clear up some stuff, clear her name, giving her every opportunity to maybe put a stop or a pause on some of the online hate she's experiencing by fully expressing herself. But it's not, I was gonna say it's almost as if, but it is exactly as if Amanda did no preparation for this reunion. It's like, and Lindsay kind of makes this point later too. It's like you came here and we all came here expecting to get some clarity, to gain some understanding. And more or less, you're walking out of here with, we have some thinking to do, is kind of how Amanda is always wrapping up her explanations, wrapping up her rationale for why she is sleeping with her husband's good friend, her ex husband, whatever, he's not, they're still married, but her ex husband's good friend and her best friend's ex. Like, why? Why? In all of the men in all of Manhattan. Still know why. And I just, that part was very dissatisfying for me. I don't know what work needs to be done, maybe with a therapist, a life coach, a hypnotist. I don't know. But Amanda needs to get to the bottom of why it was okay within her moral compass, like why it was okay for her to get with the one guy that would gut her friend and destroy their friendship. Because, like, let's say in this same universe, same demise of Amanda and Kyle's marriage, and Amanda turns around and gets with Austin. Do you guys think that the same reaction would have happened? Do you think Sierra and the rest of the world would have been as shocked and outraged and like what the actual about Amanda getting with someone like Austin, who is in Sierra's distant past? She's not had any recent relationship with. He is not actively pursuing her. He's not actively even a part of the cast. There's some separation there. He is not actively deceiving her. He's not recently sleeping with her. It's not that there's just no situation where Amanda could date an ex of a friend in certain friendships that would fly. Not in any friendships I've ever had, but in certain friendships that might work, but it's this ex that's the problem. And it's just not sinking in with her. So they roll the footage of how good of a friend Sierra was to Amanda all summer. And honestly, it's painful to watch. And I got like low key choked up. I'm not gonna lie, because it was so emotional, and it was honestly watching it. Unfortunately, with the knowledge that I had, took away from the beauty of what those moments really were. So when they rolled it back, instead of investigating for betrayal like I had been for most of the season, I was able to look at it as like, wow, just such a beautiful moment of female friendship and love expressed here, unabashed. One woman lending strength to another when she sees that she's faltering and she's weak. And essentially, whether this was right or not, Sierra gave Amanda that last little push and the strength that she needed to emerge from her marriage within a couple of months of leaving Summer House. Those seeds were planted by Sierra reminding Amanda that she was worthy of love, by Sierra reminding Amanda that she was special, by Sierra encouraging her to get some breathing room from her relationship with Kyle and the fact that they're always on top of each other in the apartment and in the office next door, and get that breathing room and get some clarity about what she wants in her life. So then they play that footage back and it brings back to memory everything Sierra did supporting her friend. And when Sierra is given the floor to explain her ardent support of Amanda at the end of the summer, she doesn't apologize for kind of overstepping in their marriage, which that's people's opinion. That's actually my opinion. I probably would never feel at liberty to speak that freely about my friend's marriage. But, she stands on it as support that she was lending to her friend. And she speaks from the perspective that she was raised by a single mom who worked 2 and 3 jobs and showed her how much strength lies within a woman. And she said it was difficult for her to see Amanda downplaying herself and speaking so negatively about herself. And she wanted to impart, I guess, some of the strength that she's gotten from her own mother and witnessing that growing up, and let her know, like, you can do this on your own. You can go and find someone who is going to value you. She certainly didn't mean go and find my ex for him to value you, but I guess Amanda misinterpreted that encouragement. Again, I totally disagreed on her decision to weigh in heavily on their marriage, but I feel like instead of judging it like I kind of was before, now I see that she weighed in because her level of concern for Amanda as a person at the time was so great that she kind of bypassed those norms. So actually, consequently, that's what makes the betrayal worse. All the worse. It seems like, Sierra was willing to go through the fire with you. And I don't know, Amanda is just really determined to not understand on any kind of deep level this very important point. And around this time, we also learned that Amanda has not finished watching the season. So, ma'am, why are you here at the reunion having not watched the season? This is your job. Isn't some of the basic work of showing up to the reunion watching the season? I don't know. Call me crazy. So, apparently, it's too hurtful for her to watch. Everyone on the set has a visible response to this statement, and we move on. Okay. Amanda tries to respond to everything that Sierra said, and Sierra did a good job of holding her composure, though she was getting really emotional while she was speaking. She tries to respond to what Sierra said. She talks about how she'll regret losing this friendship forever, and I just don't believe her. There was just something so hollow about the way she said it, and maybe it's the fact that she's not showing emotion. Maybe the Xanax and the beta blockers are working too well. All these people admit to using this stuff. I'm not accusing her of any kind of addiction and drug abuse. I'm just saying it's so clear that they have taken stuff. And actually, West admits to the beta blockers, but beta blockers don't alter your mood. Okay. Beta blockers, hi, position here. Beta blockers block your body's physiological response to stress and things that make you nervous or upset. So that elevated heart rate, the sweating, the stammering, and the hand shaking, and the things that your body is doing as a natural response to stress and fear or anxiety are blunted with a beta blocker. But that said, it has no effect on your mood. Your actual mood can be impacted by other medications. Okay. So that said, I don't know. I just don't see Amanda fighting for the friendship. I don't see her saying, like, please give me a chance. I don't see her saying how much she misses her friend at this difficult time in her life and how it would be so much better if she had Sierra back in her life. Maybe one day if you ever find it in your heart to forgive me, I know I'm asking for a lot. And I know that we have so much work to do and so much to unpack, but I would love to one day be your friend again. Like, she doesn't do that. It's weird. She just kind of is like, yeah, I know. It's over, the friendship. She's not behaving like someone who lost a true best friend and regrets doing what she did to lose that friend. She's kind of like, here we are. This is what we did. And we'd like everyone to please move on. I don't know. It's just like a very self-satisfied stance that she has. And it seems like the only issue for Amanda is having to deal with other people's opinions about what she did. And the fact that it's hitting her pockets and she's not getting the brand deals, and neither is West, that she was once getting. That's all that seems to really, be touching her. And this all feels like West and Amanda came on here kind of determined to do whatever the bare minimum is to regain those brand deals. Meanwhile, over in his corner, Jesse's like falling apart. His face is tear streaked. And people are judgmental about that online. I heard people really like trying to clown him, like, why are you crying? Listen, everybody's allowed to have feelings, okay? Everyone's allowed to be upset in the way that is comfortable for them. He's obviously realizing in real time what a piece of crap his friend is, number one. And number two, he relates that he is experiencing something similar because he was just recently betrayed by his best friend sleeping with or getting with an ex of his and how much that hurt him. So there's a dual emotion in there. At some point, Andy points out the lack of emotion for West and Amanda as a point of concern. And that's when he asks about beta blockers and West admits to them. But y'all know my feelings about that. Hilariously, Sierra says that West is either medicated or he's just a sociopath. And I honestly think it is the latter. I think there's a little bit of sociopathy in the way that he treats women. I have dated every kind of dude there is out there in terms of level of player, level of F-boy, lover boy, whatever you want to call it. I have dated them all. I have yet to really meet an unrepentant hound like West who is lying to the women he's with. It's like I thought we left that in the 80s and in the 90s. Just because there's so many women who would be down to be with Wes Wilson with absolutely no commitment, none of that sweet talk, none of that baby, it's you and me. Just I get to be with this Bravo leb. He's got that Bravo ass pass where these mediocre looking guys can just go into a bar and probably get underwear thrown at them. And I doubt he actually has to do the lying that he does in order to get what he wants, which is sex from these girls. But it's not just the sex. He wants their adoration. He basks in it. He likes the attention. Something about what they give him when he lies to them feeds him in a way that causes him to lie to them even when he knows he's doing the wrong thing. He cares more about whatever that little itch is being scratched. And I feel like there's some sociopathy and lack of empathy there. He's so much more concerned about his needs that he doesn't give a damn that he's hurting these women. And you can see Dara registering disgust with his behavior. It's just hilarious. It's just incredible. When asked if it was worth it, Amanda says she wishes she could have both. Huh? Like she wishes she could have her friendships and have West. Ma'am, again, you just don't freaking get it. When they're asked if they're in love, they both like immediately, oh no, what do you mean love? Oh, we've talked about it. We've had conversations about love, but we're not there yet. It's still early days. It's so weird how they immediately both back out of it. And West then it says that he's committed to the relationship. Mia laughs incredulously. Like everybody's just laughing at that. And it's ridiculous that they immediately say it's too early to declare love, but it wasn't too early to torch your entire friend group coming forward with an announcement about this and deciding that this is what we were going to do. And then we were going to plaster the internet with photos of us together everywhere and, pictures of you saying that this is how much you care. Like it just, yeah. At this point, even Bailey, who was, again, very sympathetic to Amanda from the beginning, chimes in to say that he's going to embarrass you, girl, bad. And that's the plain old truth. He's going to embarrass her. Wes said he's committed to making the effort to be good to her. Like, what a non-committal actual say. I'm committed to trying. Great. Thank you. And Lindsay actually screams lies when he says that, which is hilarious. She's like saying it every time he speaks now, but he's also admitting in that moment that he's not feeling the same warm and gushy feelings that he had in the early days. He says it and doesn't realize that he is admitting that their reported timeline is BS, right? Because Andy goes, you mean 6 weeks ago? And West is like, yeah. And it's like he doesn't pick up on the fact that, aren't you kind of contradicting your timeline then? Because like 6 weeks into a relationship, I feel like most people would still consider that the very early days, the very butterflies in my tummy when he calls honeymoon phase of things, hearts in the eyes, and not a point where reality is setting in and the toughness of the relationship is setting in. And everyone is quick to point out, yeah, you enjoyed the sneaky excitement of it all. You enjoyed running around and deceiving everyone and the excitement you were getting from that. And that's what you're missing now. And now you're dealing with the consequences of being out in the open, presumably. And so that just made this whole relationship a whole lot less sexy. And I was like, I'm glad that Andy pointed that out because it seemed like they were going to miss it. Like, what do you mean early days? It's still early days. So what you're saying is, what you don't realize you've kind of just admitted, West, is that there was a much earlier time when the feelings were intense and there was so much joy or whatever between you two compared to now, compared to the last 6 weeks when all of us have known about you, is what I feel like he was really saying. Okay. So at this point, Andy asks about the infamous baseball game kiss cam moment, and Amanda insists that she wasn't saying act like you like me. She was saying that was part of a larger sentence. Everyone moves on. Ben then chimes in to try to explain the gravity of the situation to West out of nowhere. Like Ben has barely talked this whole time, and I keep forgetting he's there, but he tries to explain it and still right over West's head. They don't care. Okay, so they take a break, and in that time, Kyle is still visibly searching for answers. He gets up, he's walking toward the break area. Amanda is walking towards him. He gives her a hug, and it was like quiet for a few seconds, and the mic actually picks up on somebody's heartbeat. I don't know whose heartbeat, but somebody's heartbeat is beating really fast. Probably Kyle's. And he's hurt that the relationship is spoken of like the whole 10 years was bad. So Kyle is dealing with a plethora of emotions here. He's dealing with the demise of the relationship, which we're not even really talking about that much because it's being overshadowed by this whole scandal. We're dealing with that and people making comments and him catching stray bullets. And so, Kyle's in a state. They come back. Lindsay is fired up. She's like, you guys were short-sighted and you have affected everyone's livelihoods and everyone's career. And all you have to say for it is, we have a lot to think about. I feel like Lindsay was hoping they would come here with something that would actually, I think, allow them to move forward as a group. I think that's what Lindsay Hubbard was probably hoping for, that she was very dissatisfied not to get. Because if there had been some kind of reconciliation, a reckoning, a true demonstration that Wes and Amanda were really getting it, I feel like maybe there would have been a kernel of hope for some kind of future for this group. But as it stands, no. So Andy tries to wrap up things. He asks Kyle what the way forward is, and Kyle can't give him an answer. He asks Sierra if she achieved any level of catharsis to move on. She says it was nice to be able to express herself and then move on with her life. I have expressed that my hope for my girl is that she completely puts these people in her rearview mirror. I wouldn't mind if she did like In the City or something like that, but I would like a future in which Sierra Miller never speaks Wes Wilson's name again. Literally the best payback would be for us to all completely forget about them once this is all done. Like 2 weeks from now, like nobody's talking about you. You're done and no more brand deals. Go away. Go be happy. Go live in the Ozarks or wherever together. And Andy also points out a really positive thing that Sierra raised over $160,000 for a Girl Scout troop in New York. I forget the number of the troop, but it was on her page that she told people to go support them when she started to get a lot of attention altruistically. She just was like, yeah, don't like just waste your time scrolling my timeline, like actually go and support these people. Raised 160K for them in her name. And this troop specifically works with young girls who are in transition, maybe dealing with homelessness and things of that like. He closes by thanking everyone for coming and they cheers to Girl Scout cookies, which was really cute. They pass those around. And then they gather for the cast photo and there's a countdown to the credits. And to my great surprise, they announced that there's a bonus episode coming next week. What? I didn't know anything about a bonus episode. Amazing. So give us a little preview of that snack. And it's basically they're back in the city and it's Kyle and Wes on a couch talking. And then it's Lindsay and Amanda talking on a couch. And there's also a conversation between Meha and Sierra. That's pretty much all we got. But basically, there's going to be some really interesting conversations had next week in the aftermath of this. So these conversations are taking place kind of in real time, like post filming in the city, post scandal breaking out, post reunion. So hopefully we get some more answers out of West when he's not sitting under the hot lights of the reunion stage. Maybe he will open his mouth and say something worth listening to. I will definitely be tuned in to find out what's going to happen because the truth is right now it's a little too juicy for Bravo to drop. So I actually think it was smart for them to pick cameras up like they did in the Scandal season to get as much material out of this as they can. I don't think Sierra's coming back to Summer House. Maybe they could put her on In the City. It would allow us to kind of follow her and all the fabulous things that's happening with her. Did y'all see her in that Shabuzi music video? Okay. Anyway, I think, I think let's cast like Sierra, Mia, maybe Jesse on In the City. I don't know. It's a work in progress, what I'm trying to configure in my head that could salvage for the people that we still find interesting some kind of show. And then maybe start over in Summer House with a new crop of people based around maybe Bailey, KJ, and Dara's relationship. I don't know. I'm spitballing here, but I do appreciate that they realize there's still some meat left on the bone. So let's try to get some more understanding, clarity, something out of this. And so that was my reaction to the final installation, part 3 of the Summer House reunion. Hope you guys enjoyed that. And we are going to enjoy that discussion that you tune in for the post reunion special. Okay, that's it for now. Please like, follow, subscribe, share the podcast with someone who you think would enjoy our little chats. Until next time, bye.